Stop at like top of Tyro.
Yeah, maybe Tyler.
Okay.
What you got going there, Bob?
130 Cochise. I'm excited about this. Definitely a tighter fit than that 120.
It's a bit of an upgrade.
Yeah.
You think you're gonna ski better?
Debatable.
Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from Skiessentials.com.
I'm Bob. How's it going?
Welcome to what I'm pretty darn sure is our first ever long form boot review.
Yeah, we started doing these up at the boot shop earlier this year for each individual one, but this is our first more extended boot review, so pretty excited.
So to tell the complete story, our Tecnica rep, way back last spring sometime, he dropped off this pair of boots and this pair of boots and said something like, "We're really excited about these new Cochise boots. Can you guys please test them and let us know what you think?" Fast forward to December of the following season. Last season ended pretty abruptly here in Vermont. We had that just like 70-degree weather. We went straight from like winter in March to on the golf course in about a week.
Yeah, it was quick.
So I didn't have much time to test these boots. But gosh, Bob, you've had them on snow for quite a while now. Specifically, that pair of 120s over there belongs to you.
Yeah, I think I might have 8 or 9 days on them so far. So, pretty much past that break-in point too.
Yep.
So far, pretty impressed.
Yeah, and slightly off topic, but you've got a quiver of boots this season, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I went boot heavy this year. So, we end up skiing all these test skis, so we never ski our personal skis. So
Sure.
I got to spend my money on something, so I bought some boots.
Yeah, a bunch of boots. So maybe we'll do some other boot reviews on your other boots.
Yeah, perfect.
I'm in the new Speed Machine from Nordica too.
Yep.
So if you guys like the way that this one goes, let us know in the comments, and we'll try and do more of these long form boot reviews.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's a good place to be because skis are easy, skis are sexy. They're easy. People are always talking about the skis, but I would say if you are an accomplished skier, you know that this is the most important piece of your stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
makes sense that we do this. The fact that it's more of a personal thing
Sure.
means that it's hard for me to say this is the right boot for you.
Yeah. No, and I'm glad you bring that up. We are an e-commerce site. We sell products online. Our recommendation is always, if you have a local shop where you can go try on boots, go there, go try on boots. If you're here in Stowe, we've got an awesome shop called Inner Boot Works. You used to work there.
I did, yep. So
for a significant amount of time.
I put a lot of boots on a lot of different feet.
Yeah, so I'm glad you said that, Bob, because we can't really say, like, this is right for you because we don't know what your foot's like, but we can, and we will, towards the end of the video, say this boot is for this type of skier. So I think all that said, Bob, since you're kind of the expert behind this boot, can you just walk us through what's going on here?
Yeah.
I got the 130 here. You got the 120 over there. We can look at some differences, but I think they share a lot of features off the bat.
Yeah, I'll kind of point out differences as we go along as they come up, but we're basically dealing with the same shell shape. It's a 99 millimeter last, and normally I'm in, if I can put my foot in 100 and be pretty comfortable. I'm definitely not a low volume fit. So this kind of falls into that medium volume fit. very similar to the Mach 1 medium volume. We do have a polyurethane lower and a polypropylene upper.
Which differs from that Mach 1, correct?
Differs from the Mach 1. It's polyurethane top and bottom. So it's a little bit stiffer of a plastic with this slightly softer plastic. That's where we're seeing a weight savings. With the uphill intention of this boot, that is pretty nice to have. It's just a little bit less material carrying up the hill, so it does make a big difference. We do get these 4 more touring specific buckles. I can kind of take the liner out as well. This, I would say, is where kind of the user friendliness differs from a normal alpine boot. Okay. They're trying to save weight on the buckles, so they do that by removing material. It's definitely a lighter feel, more of a wire versus like a cage.
Yep.
And then just these kind of more open holes in the buckle do make it just a little bit harder to buckle up. So I will say there's a slight user friendliness reduction in this versus, a Mach 1 or, my Salomon S Pro.
But you've probably successfully been able to buckle your boots every
I have.
time you've gone
Yep, I have 100% success rate.
It's not like you're in the parking lot like,
No.
well, not this time.
Not today. They are micro adjustable, so you can, spin them to tighten or loosen. And then they do have that kind of that locking mechanism where you can lock them forward. So that's handy. And then in the top 2 buckles, they do have these ratchet. The last notch there is their touring notch.
Yeah, so when you're going up.
Yep, you can leave them buckled. These top buckles do stay flush, and they just kind of extend and allow for that boot a little bit of extra mobility.
Give you a lot of room to move around there.
Yeah, definitely, and that macro adjustment on the top too, so you can move these top 2 buckles over. We see a difference in the power strap, which is pretty interesting. This is just a regular 45 mil Velcro power strap. Normally I will swap this out for a booster strap, get a little more elasticity in there. I have not done so yet just because I've been really happy with the out-of-the-box fit and performance.
This one's like a ratchet strap.
Yeah, Jeff's got that power lock strap, which...
get that thing pretty tight.
Yeah, you can really cinch it up good. Definitely adds to that forward flex, that forward flex capability.
Yep.
And then in the back, this is their T-Ride lock mechanism. So back in the day, I included this in the written segment when they first came out with these Cochise boots or any of these walk mode boots, even like a Lang XT130.
Yep.
Like it was just a piece of plastic that either was in or out.
Yeah.
And even when it was in, you could flex forward, and there was no like metal on metal contacts back when these things first came out. So this one's pretty impressive. It's just a little flip to unlock, and then flip it up, and now you're in walk mode, and then flip it back down, a very satisfying noise, and then turn it to the right, and this thing is, it's pretty well locked. We do have that, the metal, the grabber here is screwed right into the plastic, and then they do have this carbon inlay here. So a nice kind of secondary bonus to this walk mode is that when you're in ski mode, it adds this rigid spine. And we see this technique in a lot of alpine boots where companies are kind of homing in on this area to increase the lateral stiffness of the boot without really making it too stiff in the forward flex. So a lot of like bigger, wider, more modern skis do rely on more lateral movement to access the side cut. You don't have to drive the front of your boot to get the tip of your ski to hook up anymore. That's kind of an old school mentality. Doesn't mean it's wrong, but these are definitely more interested in making that lateral movement, stiffer and more precise.
Kind of a cool asymmetrical shape to that carbon infused area too.
Yeah.
And I know that's by design, kind of give the boot a little bit of asymmetry. You're pushing harder on your inside edge, your outside foot. So that's kind of corresponded to the shape of that carbon area.
Yeah.
And then a slight difference in the liners between the 120 and the 130, right, Bob?
Yeah, this is worth taking out and getting a look at it. when you put them on your foot, you kind of think it should feel about the same, but it does not. The 120 liner here has this custom adaptive shape material, pretty cool stuff, heat moldable. You can actually stretch it, you can punch it, you can grind it. It's grindable. It's a grindable liner, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, and we just get more of that in this 130 liner.
Yeah, you can see in the forefoot here, if you want to put this thing down, I think you'll probably be able to see it. This CAS material extends into the forefoot here, as well as in the tongue. So I did cook these in my oven at a low temperature of 180 last night, just to get my heel back in the heel pocket a little bit more and away from the forefoot. It did work. I would definitely recommend going to a boot fitter and having that done. But it's a significant difference when you put your foot in it, this liner versus that liner.
Also a lace option on this liner.
Yep.
So if you're really looking to maximize precision,
yeah,
and that's kind of corresponds to how I assume they feel different too. So having skied both, Bob, can you tell us a little bit about the difference between the 120 and the 130, both in reference to fit and performance?
Yeah, so from a fit perspective, I have a pretty high instep, so that additional CAS material pushes down on the top of my foot pretty well.
Right there on the tongue.
So I would need to have some modification done on that, whereas I do not on this.
Okay.
If you can deal with the pressure, you're gonna get the more precision in the performance. So the closer your foot is to ultimately the shell, so whether it has to go through softer material versus stiffer material, your energy is gonna get to the edge of the ski faster through that.
Yeah.
So I did feel that for sure. I don't think that it's that, it's not that big of a difference. I was really impressed with this 120, and maybe it's just because my actual foot is closer to the shell. Maybe someone with a lower volume foot would need the security of that to feel close enough to the shell to get the performance. But versus a traditional 130 Alpine boot or a 120 Alpine boot, minimal difference. You can't tell.
Yeah.
There is this lock mechanism combined with the more Alpine oriented plastic really make this feel like just a regular advanced expert Alpine boot.
Yeah, I think the first day that you skied them, maybe after the first run or so, you said something like, well, I'm just going to ski in these every day.
Right. I was hesitant. I was certainly hesitant because I had only skied in the 3-buckle, non-metal on metal locking Cochise in the past.
Yep.
So having the 4 buckles with that lock mechanism, I was hesitant. That was my first run, and I see no issue skiing on this boot as a normal everyday resort boot.
Right. And I'm sure that's not entirely true. I'm sure you will ski your other boots.
Yep.
If you didn't, that would be disappointing.
Yeah.
So, I think there is, there's not a huge difference between a boot like this and say like a Mach 1 130 LV.
Right.
But there is a difference.
Yeah, you're never going to get the same connection, this versus 2 rivets.
Right.
And then the upper shell, the cuff of the plastic being stiffer.
Right.
It's not going to be the same. But for what it is, it's pretty impressive. And that's kind of the whole point, is that they're trying to make, this hybrid boot good for a wide variety of skiers who are looking to do a wide variety of things.
Yep.
So eliminating the need for a Mach 1 130 low volume and a touring specific boot.
Right. Just get one boot.
Yeah.
Have it just simplicity.
Right.
You don't have to think about what you're taking to the mountain every day.
Yeah.
You just grab one boot.
Yeah.
Uphill performance. We did a little bit of testing on the uphill performance. Yep. Obviously, we have pin compatibility with these boots, which I think is in 2022 extremely important.
Right.
No one's going to make a touring boot without pin tech toes anymore.
No, and it's interesting. That's what the original Cochise was a flat
Correct.
Alpine sole, no tech fittings,
Right.
just a walk mode.
Right.
And that was touring.
So it's cool to see kind of the progression here.
Yeah.
You did a little bit of touring with the Duke PT 16.
Yep.
Which feels like a great binding to match to these boots.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they're trying to get the, that hybrid skier to have one setup.
Right.
If you're touring a handful of days, like I will likely be, I'm not a daily tourer like a lot of people in town are, but if you're doing early season, late season, maybe a few in between, that's really what you need. If you don't want two setups, that's who they're going for, is the person that doesn't want two setups.
So I think it's fair to say that like a huge amount of skiers can choose this boot.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to ask you, what type of skier is this the right boot for? But it almost feels better to ask you, what type of skier isn't this for? Do you know what I mean?
Totally. And like, even just the other day, one of our customer service guys, he couldn't find the Mach 1 MV, the 120 MV.
Right.
And I said, hey, go try this on at the boot shop.
Right.
I don't care if you tour or not.
Right.
Like, go try this thing on.
Exactly.
It's a great boot. Like, he's a good skier. He's not as aggressive or as big as I am.
Yep.
So it's not like he's going to over ski this boot if I don't.
Right.
Which I have not found to be the case.
I think you could.
Yep.
If you wanted to. If we had like a really firm day and we took out some like giant slalom skis and we just ripped hayride all day, I think maybe that would be the application. And I think that's a good way to describe like the type of skier that may want to stick with a dedicated alpine boot.
Yeah.
I think I'd even put myself in that range, maybe. Yep. I have a boot that's very similar. I ski in a Nordica Strider, but that falls into the same category. I will never give up a pure alpine boot.
Yep.
I get annoyed about grip walk soles still. So like I love the idea of maximizing power transfer.
Yep.
Just for the experience.
And especially if you're just riding the lifts.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Right. If you like riding the lifts a lot, and you ask a lot out of your gear, if you kind of put yourself in that description, maybe you want to consider a full alpine boot.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you were saying, and I'm glad you brought up John from customer service, because I feel like he's a great example of the type of person that like can buy this boot and really benefit from it.
Yeah.
A little bit more user friendly in some ways.
And now he's, and now that he has this, he has a pair of new skis, he can get a shift and put it on there, or a Duke, and now he has the one setup that you could use any day, anywhere, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah. So even if you're not there yet, if you're interested in the hybrid touring world, but you haven't committed to a full setup yet, this could be like your first piece of equipment.
Yeah, I would definitely start with the boot.
Yeah, right.
And we deal with that a lot, where people will write in and say, I want to get this ski with a shift for touring. Yeah. And we kind of have to ask, do you have this? Right. If you don't have this, then no.
Yeah, and I think people are starting to learn that more now. I feel like that was a big issue like 2 years ago. Yeah. Like especially when the shift binding first came out. Like people were literally buying it and then they were like, oh,
I need new boots.
I need a different thing to work with this thing. Yeah. So yeah, I think it makes a ton of sense to start with a boot like this. Gosh, any other strong opinions on it? Anything else you wanna mention to people?
Not particularly. Just I just think that the industry as a whole has done themselves has stuck with this. We kind of scoffed at this walk mode. I think we more called it bar mode. Yeah. Back when it came out, après mode. Yeah. So you could walk easier in your boots. Like, the whole concept of the side country came out, and we were like, what even is that? Right.
What are you talking about?
Right. Yeah. And that's what they tried to market it as. And I think that the engineering has caught up with the marketing with these boots. Yeah. And really kind of made something new that's able to do a whole lot of different things.
Yeah, I feel like it's fair to say that even just a handful of years ago, less than 10 years ago, boots in this category were like still kind of clunky,
Yeah.
kind of weird, had some like funny looks to them. This is one of the like sleekest hybrid alpine touring boots that I think we've had.
Yeah, and Tecnica's done a great job. Like they've always had a nice polished product in their alpine side.
Yep.
And it's really nice to see that carry through to their hybrid side as well.
Turns out you do need 4 buckles on a Cochise.
Yeah, the 3 buckles with that weird 4th buckle power strap was
Sorry, Tecnica.
was really weird.
Yeah. I sold a lot of those boots though, and they did ski reasonably well for the design. Cool. Thanks, Bob, so much for providing your insight into these boots.
Yeah, I'm always happy to talk about boots.
Pretty cool that you've been able to test them so thoroughly.
Yep.
I'm sorry that I asked you to ski this one this morning because I know that was a bit of a challenge getting your foot in there, but
No, it was fine.
like you were saying, if you bought this boot, you would spend more time in a boot shop getting it right.
Yep. Yeah. I would definitely have some work done on the shell, but this, just to accommodate that extra foam, this foam will pack out easier on its own. That needs a place to go. So whether grinding the shell or stretching it, that foam needs a place to go. Whereas this will just pack into itself.
I feel like that's a difference that's pretty consistent across the board on like 120 versus 130 flex boots. So I'm noticing that myself this year. Different boot, different brand and different boots from that brand.
Yeah.
But going from the Pro Machine to the Speed Machine, I'm noticing like, oh yeah, this liner like has some give to it. It'll allow my foot to expand a little bit. So you kind of see that difference between 120 and 130 flex boots generally.
But really all I did was put my footbed in here and went skiing.
That's
so
what
it's
I
pretty,
did. That's what I
pretty
did
impressive.
In my new boots, which is refreshing.
Yeah, it doesn't usually work for me.
Right.
But it worked on this, which is nice.
So that's it. That's a review of these new Tecnica Cochise boots. We didn't really talk about it in particular, but this is the women's 115 here in the middle. Pretty cool. I was going to ski them, but the cuff height's a little low.
It's basically the orange shell with the brown liner.
Yep.
With a lower cuff.
Yep. So I actually really like this color too. The gray, it's snazzy.
It's your size.
I know. It's tempting. So yeah, that's it. Let us know if you have any questions about these boots. Let us know if you want us to do more boot reviews in general. And we'll see you out there on the slopes. When you see Bob, just look at his feet and you'll see which of his like 7 pairs of boots he's skiing that day.
My wife is getting pretty distressed with my boot accumulation.
It's fine.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's all good. So let us know if you have any questions, and we'll see you guys out there on the slopes.
Bye.